All right, everybody. We are excited to have our final speaker, but not the least, one of the most important, cool guys on here that you will hear throughout the entire day. And this guy I've been friends with for a little while, met through podcasting, met through Podfest. We've known each other, followed each other online for a little while, got a chance to hang out in Orlando together at the table for a couple of days and cracking up and just absolutely having a blast. This guy is doing some amazing things as a podcaster and as a marketer, and just absolutely killing it. And so he is the host of Expert Authority Effect interviews. He believes, I believe it was at the 7 F's, the faith, the family, food, fun, health, whatever, a whole thing you'll see about him, but he's called the King of Smiles, Smile Authority. Our buddy Mario Fachini joined us here. What is going on, Mario? Happy International Podcast Day and welcome here, man.
Happy International Podcast Day to you too, Scott. It's a great day to be alive, and I'm excited to share with your audience.
Now, you are doing some amazing things. So share with the audience out here who's watching this and joining in here some of your, what exactly what you're doing and all the things you got rocking and rolling right now that's come from the result of you podcasting on a regular basis.
So primarily, I focus on business book publishing. I've been doing that nearly a decade, got 5 of my own books, 2 are international bestsellers, and that is a game changer. And especially when you couple that with podcasting, I mean, I was doing podcast guesting or guest interviews or whatever you want to call it prior to even having a show. And it's a very powerful thing. And if you have a show, there's no reason you shouldn't be doing it. And I took my expertise and created the Expert Authority Effect. And that's why the show is named what it is. That's my publishing method, the Expert Authority Effect publishing method, which is also my newest book. And podcasting is a great way to do it because you can be on camera, you can be on the microphone, you can be on any of this stuff. And you can literally, it's like jumping in a time machine. I feel like it's like traveling around the world. At one point, I had clocks from every different time zone on my one monitor, and I have 3 of them. And it's just like, what are you doing today? It's not what are you doing today? It's like, where in the world are you at? Carmen Sandiego. And it's like, okay, I remember jumping off the plane, speaking in real life at an event, and my client from Australia is calling. I'm at the airport. Little did I know it was the time change date, fall back and all that good stuff. And I'm like, give me 55 minutes. I'm almost home. I swear. She's like, no problem. She was going to breakfast. It's just like, if you have a heart and want to serve people, no matter what your background is, there's no reason you can't jump on the mic and do it.
Yeah, that's so truthful, is that podcasting for me has really shrunken the world down. Like you just said, you've got people all across the world, not just domestically, but international flavor with what you're doing. And that's, some of the best tips and best interviews I've had has been people not only here in Asia, but also like in Australia or Israel, England. I mean, we've had such a great flair today, India, Scotland, Australia, people being Canada, all across the world, that our audience isn't just local. It is so much further out there, and we have so much to learn from other people, right?
Absolutely. It's interesting you say that because I was speaking at the Podfest Masterclass, which is going on right now, where we got connected to. And then it was like, I'm speaking here, I'm filming my own show. I had a partnership call. It's like, what are you doing today? It's like something that's awesome. It's either for my show, about my show, or someone's interviewing me about it. So it's a lot of fun and you can connect with people. And one of the biggest takeaways is just the people you meet, like at the event. I can't wait till we're back in, get to see each other at the next event and everything. But it's just like the relationships. That's what it is for me. And yes, it's business, and yes, I monetize it and all that good stuff. But there's some of the most down to earth people just across the planet, and that's what I love.
Yeah, I've coined a term in my business called co-opetition. And I think it's very prevalent in podcasting. We're all cooperating, but we're all very competitive in nature, wanting to do big things with our show and our audience and going from there. So I want to bring up, you hinted a little bit about how that you're monetizing. For those that are listening out there, obviously it's always a big question. How are you monetizing in a variety of fashions? I know you're doing it in different ways, but you want to share with the audience how you're kind of doing that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And like you said, there's many different ways to do it. And I gotta be honest, when I started off, I was just like everyone else is like, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna make the best one. I'm gonna launch like 946 episodes day one and just smoke everyone and all this stuff. I'm gonna have all these sponsors. And it's like, yeah, for the 8 people listening, yeah, I'm sure just everyone's jumping out of the woodwork to listen to you. And I had more than that. I say that in jest, but everyone has this like, I need to monetize, I need to sponsor, I need to monetize, I need to sponsor. And there's so many ways to do it. And I'm happy to say I have sponsors. And I was actually looking at the calendar because my very first paid sponsor was 30 days from now last year. And that was pretty exciting because I mean, who doesn't want a paid sponsor? And, I've done those, but I've also self sponsored the show. I've also incorporated it in my books. I've also incorporated it in speaking. The best thing I can say, now being at over 200 episodes, the best thing I can say is self sponsor and get your own products and services on there. And everyone has something, but it's like, well, I don't have a course. Well, so what? What have you been selling the last 2 to 10 years that you're making money with? And if you're truly, truly, truly starting at ground zero and you really have nothing, it doesn't take that long. I made my free business book publishing course in under a week. I mean, there's so many different ways. So go after the sponsorships, but do realize you do need numbers to support it, and they're expecting a lot out of it. If you've got less than a few thousand, your first week, relax. Get to your first 100 episodes, get to your first 200, 300, 500, 1,000. You know what I mean? It's a long-term thing. It's not, if you want to do 50 interviews and just put them out there and think it's the magical end all be all, then do a YouTube channel or something where you just have really great interviews, and that's a huge value add, and you can even monetize that. But if you really want to do a podcast, realize it's going to be long term. Relax, have some, oh, I want to miss that. But that's why it's on a boom arm. I can punch the thing if I want to. But just relax, have some fun, and then when the time comes, if you're doing the right things, people will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of freaking out. And after 30 days, I'm like, this is not what I teach. This is not what I love. I'm just going to do my thing and, go stick to the vision God gave me and let it fall into place. And I've just enjoyed the journey, and it just keeps falling into place. I've created the problems this year that I wanted last year. And it's, I'd love to be on more shows and do different things. And now it's like, holy crap, 7 days passed. And it's like, what just happened? But it's a lot
Well,
of
it's the
fun.
kind of thing. God, thank you for making it rain, but can you close the window just a little bit? Careful what you wish for, because if you stick with it and you show up and professional and add really value and great content and focus on the craft of it, good things will come. Too many people, like you said, get into it. Well, I'm going to do 20 episodes and I need to have sponsors, or they get into it and they're expecting one thing and they don't realize, well, that's not the way this works. It's not like other things, right?
Yeah, and I think that's people in business in general, and I can relate to it. As an entrepreneur, I think we're all hardwired to be ambitious, and it's like, hey, I just climbed Everest, and it's like, yeah, but did you skydive off of it with a parachute? It's like, relax. You know what I mean? It's like, enjoy it. But the reality is, you get to the one mountaintop, you're going, well, I got to get to the next one. But don't forget, there is a valley in between there. You got to go up again.
Question for you, as you've hit some numbers and doing some things. Looking back, what has been the biggest surprise from all that you're doing that you just like? I did never expected this to happen from me launching my show.
Some of the guests, I'll say, because I've been public speaking for close to a decade or just over it. So the whole, hey, you're going to get more speaking. I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to. Absolutely. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm getting speaking engagements. I had no idea. I did have an idea, but I just kept speaking. Yes, I am going to get more and more. The biggest thing was some of the guests, because my goal was to have 365 episodes ready to go for the first year. Now, I factored in the 92.5% rate of people that they weren't saying no, they were just not ready. And again, I had 10 episodes at the time. So I factored that in and built it up to 405 in my Pipedrive CRM. So I was like, I don't want to have to be wondering where I'm going to get guests from every week. But there's people I go, maybe next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road, I'll reach out when, the show's bigger, I have more people, I have whatever. And I kid you not, like a week after I launch, not even a week after I launch, like 5 days later, someone I know that's very well known in the movie. I'm looking at her Facebook and she's like, just dropped my new movie. Really? Already? I don't even have the new mic yet. Reached out and she's like, yeah, I'd love to come on the show and everything. So there's people that I had planned out, like they'll be on, but it'll be a year, 2, 3 or plus.
Mhm.
And I've gotten a large portion of them, probably around half a dozen or maybe a full dozen now, that have been on under the first 100 episodes or under the first 200. And I really didn't think it would be under the first 3 years, low end.
I love that. And that's just because the fact that you keep showing up. And you shared something out there about Pipedrive a second ago in your Pipedrive CRM. Being a real estate guy, that's where I'm familiar with Pipedrive from as far as that. That's not your traditional CRM for a lot of times. You want to explain why you like using that versus something else?
Full disclosure, I liked them so much I partnered with them. So that was someone I was promoting even before my show. And why I like them, there's 2 I recommend, but there's for 99% of people, and unless it's some of my private clients that are large corporations, Pipedrive is a great thing to start with, and it's not overkill. There's a lot of good ones out there, and there's a lot of stuff you don't need, just like with podcasting. It's like, well, what kind of padding should I get for the walls? It's like, what mic do you have? You want to build literally an insane asylum, but you don't want to spend over $100 on a microphone. Just throwing that out there. Just saying. So, you know what I mean? I have solutions for every step of the way. It's good. You like that, huh? I have solutions for every step of the way in businesses doing $500,000 or less, $1 million plus, 10 million. It depends on the business. So Pipedrive is my go-to solution to start with for most people. When you say, well, what's a CRM or what's that, or just something where I can tell you're not using it, I'm not going to, be like, okay, well, here's how you go off a Ferris wheel without any backup and it's a loose one. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just overkill. So many people, it's like, I get you want to strive to the top, but just enjoy the journey. Start where you are. You know what I mean? Same thing. And I made the joke about the microphone, but it's like, okay, you're going to do all these extracurricular things. Why don't you just launch? And once you do that, once you get your 10 episodes out, and after that, maybe get to 50, you got time.
Yeah, I agree to that. It's like I'm going to win the Indy 500 in a Pinto. You don't need that. Start off in the go-kart series, move up to the funny, whatever it might be. Work your way up to where you can be at, and you'll hone your craft a whole lot better, a lot faster off.
And that's exactly. I notice the people who are honing their craft and put the time in, and you can tell, if just on the sheer number of episodes, there is a balance. It's like you don't want to do everything perfect and only have 10 really killer episodes, because there's something to be said about the frequency. However, I've been yelling for a decade plus, don't get stuck in startup mode.
Yeah.
Whether it's business, podcast, video, live stream, book publishing, whatever it is. It's like, well, this is how I learned it. Yeah, but you're like 10 light years past that. It's like you're saying with the car. It's like, yes, you may have learned on this one and be thankful, but it's time for the next one. The NBA, they're not using the shoes that they trained in 20 years before to go play the game.
Well, Michael Jordan might have been wearing his North Carolina shorts he played at North Carolina, but that's the exception. Now, you're doing so many amazing things out there. Love the branding. So let's talk a little about that with the green screen behind you and the images. That always sharply dressed, man. All right. Always got a vest. Always got a nice tie. Well, not always a vest, but pretty much a vest and a beautiful sharp popping tie. That's become part of your branding, I would imagine. It helped attract people to you too, huh?
You know what? This is nothing new either. I have a background in modeling, acting, video animation, production, all this stuff. And it's really a costume. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, it's not to be like, look at me, I'm fancy. It's a professionalism thing. And it's funny you say the branding's on point. Here in my mind, I'll give myself 9 out of 10 because I got the teal tie, not the yellow one. But the reality is how you show up. And I'm going to not say something right now because I want this to be evergreen for you. But there are so many people who just show up, and it's like, would you show up in person the way you are on camera? And I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to drop it there.
Throw it out there, man. Drop it. Hang on. Just drop the mic. Well, don't drop the mic, but you get it. Yeah.
When you're doing remote, I'll say it like this. When you're doing remote interviews, no matter what's going on in life, people can still see you. I know for a fact you wouldn't show up to a live event the way that people show up on camera. Or even, it doesn't matter. I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It's all psychological. So to the point of the outfit and everything, one of my biggest hurdles was again, 8-10 years ago, I've been doing this full time. I started this business in 2002, been doing it full time since 2008. And I always saw those business professionals, and I was like, man, if I could just afford one of those suits. And I remember one of the first speaking things I did publicly in 2012, I was like, I'm going to be on stage. And I just kind of really enjoyed the fashion side of things, picked up some new suits, shirts, clothes. And I was even joking the fall fashion, the fall collection, the summer collection, the spring collection. And people thought I had a clothing line. They're like, are those all your ties? I'm like, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? So I play in the business space, and I know not all podcasters do, but when I'm when I'm interviewing the CEOs, but I got started young, and I was just looking for a way to like go, hey, I'm serious without having to convince you for 6 months. Cause I always was, but maybe it takes 6 months to convince you, and then 4 months, then 3 months. It's like, how do you bridge that gap to just show up and say, I'm here, I'm ready to go. Show up early, show up ready. And when you are on camera or in person, deliver something. Don't spend 15 minutes talking about here's my intro and here's my sub intro and here's let's form a committee to form a committee and then make a subcommittee of the committee. It's like, holy crap, let's just pick up the phone and make a phone call and get something done.
Right. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, get rocking and rolling, and deliver. Show up and play full out. Don't play half-ass. You're right about that, Mari. So many people, you're like, no. Just first impressions still do matter more than anything else, don't they?
I've had people on my show that reach out to me now, and this was within 6, 8, 9 months. Because even last year, it was 6, 8, 9 months that they were reaching out going, what are you doing? And I'm like, I got like 50 episodes. I just started this thing. You know what I mean? I'm new, but the reality was I was running laps around people who have been doing it 3-4 years, just not at a certain level.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. Some people, you mentioned something earlier before, people get stuck. And this is my big pet peeve about people who've been around podcasting forever, is they haven't evolved in a lot of the things. They haven't added the video side to what they're doing. And I'm a big believer that video doubles up your audience because everything is going video these days. You know what I mean? I get the crap.
It's a fair amount of extra work, though.
Not necessarily. I honestly don't think if you have to evolve more than anything. I think it's more.
I agree.
To edit an hour or spend 2 hours editing a podcast versus the 10-minute episode you end up having. I get a lot of overkill with that, but I think honestly, the way videos, I think people get a chance to see who you really are in the organic stage. Don't get me wrong. I understand editing some here, but a lot of people are over. Now, of course, if you're a history podcast or a audio drama or a fiction podcast, that's a different story. But I'm a big believer of the video. Do a little bit, blue screens, a little bit of what you're wearing, stuff like that. But get the message out instead of overly worrying about everything, I
will tell you. So my background's in video production, animation, special effects, and all that. So I was actually more comfortable doing the video than the audio. I was freaking out when I heard, like, you should edit your episodes because it'll make you a better host. I'm like, yeah, like I care. I want to do that. In the first 30, I was just like every day just going, It'll make you better. It'll make you better. It did get easier. It's easy for me now, but you do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
However, that's not how you grow.
Yeah.
So I love the video. I love the live streaming. I do this nearly every day, or the days I don't, I do 4, 5, 6 in one day, and it just makes up for the rest of the week. But I do it enough. I've done 3,000 plus on Facebook alone, even before my show started. That was part of the reason I was like, maybe I do this a fair amount. There's more to it, and I get that's why people are hesitant. However, just your reactions, you know what I mean? It's like, even if you have no desire to put the video on YouTube or do anything with video, just turn on the camera and live stream it, because at the very least, you can gauge the reactions and the timing. I had interviews before this and after, and there was some I was doing last week where they were just like, "Are you there still?" And I'm thinking, now you need to edit that. Yes, I am. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't just like run away, but it occurred to me they couldn't see me, so they had no real idea. So even for the timing or the reaction, you know what I mean? You can read the facial expressions and body language infinitely easy, whether you use it for anything or not. It's just, I think it makes a way more compelling interview, and it's less editing, because I mean, the thing was going great, and it's like, "Are you still there? Are you still there?" "Yeah, I was there the last 3 times you asked, and I'm still here now. It's just called listening. I'm doing it." I know some people might talk over you, but 2 ears,
I think
1
that's
mouth.
the one biggest thing I think we see with a lot of new podcasters is they're so busy worried about what to say versus just kind of being quiet and using what God gave us. Listen twice as much as you speak a little bit, huh?
And see, right now you could see that I'm still here. I didn't go anywhere, even though I didn't like start talking over you. So yeah, that's the thing, is if you're doing an interviews, you want to make it compelling, and there's that fun. And I tell you what, I got a whole lot of good pre-chat video and a lot of behind the scenes that I'm putting in the app for my show, because I'm like, this is some good stuff. And it's interesting because some people, they're fine behind the scenes and on camera, and other people, it's like they tense up a little bit when we're doing it officially. And the second I'm like, we're no longer live. Oh, check this out. Actually, you do a tail slate if you want some behind the scenes with video. And I'm like, we're no longer live. And then it's like, "Oh my gosh, that was great." And they just rattle something off. I'm like, it's just interesting, the dynamic that changes, and being able to see them just being on yet another phone call or something.
I agree with her. What would you say the biggest change has been in the last 6 months for you with our lovely lockdown and everything like that? What's been the biggest thing that you've pivoted or had to adjust?
Part of me wants to say hardly anything, because I've got the show to a point where it's just like easy peasy. My team does what they need to. It frees me up to, be a better host and do that kind of thing. The one thing I did add on to the schedule this year was I revamped my software that I don't generally talk about, but since you asked, I developed a software to build WordPress websites automatically about 8 years ago. And we switched the servers, enhanced it, switched a whole lot of stuff to make it stronger for the next decade. And kind of 2020, even before everything, kind of just made me start thinking like, it's been a great decade. What do I want to do moving forward? And this last one was, I changed from having the business to like really skyrocketing it in 2012 and keeping it there, and then pivoting in 2016 as far as how I do it. 2013 was, who do I want to work with? And I fired 38 simultaneous clients. I finished the project. I honored the commitment, but I'm like, no, never again. You can't get your time back. Unfortunately, I lost my dad in 2017, and was part of the reason I started the show. But I was always aware of time, but that made it even increasingly so. So the last couple of years, it's been like, where do I want to be 10 years from now? And I've been yelling, this is our roaring 20s. Do you know how cool it is? We look back in history and go, oh, the roaring 20s and all this good stuff was happening. And I was like, I wasn't born yet. This sucks. I want to be part of that. And then it occurred to me one day, I go, we're going to get to have our own roaring 20s. So I made like a 10-year plan from 2020 to 2030, and was like, what do I see myself doing at the end of the decade? And my software, business, book publishing, and podcasting was all on there. And I go, sweet, let's ramp them all up.
Good stuff. Big plans for the next year alone, not 10 years from now, but what's a big thing or something that you're really excited about for the upcoming new year?
What am I excited about? As bland as this may sound, doing more of the same. Because I have spent a decade going, what about this? What about this? Adding this into the fold. I've always done video. You know, the podcast is something new. You know, the book publishing was something new, but it's, you know, that was 2011, 2012. And I really realized what I'm really exceptionally good at, which is the business book publishing and video. And I'm like, these are things and the software is great. I don't, you know, it's not me behind there spinning a wheel. I mean, it's software. But these are things I'm like, I'm for sure doing for 10 more years. So more of the same. And I'm most excited to be doing less of all the stuff I've been priming the pump for.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to do it, but I don't want to be working my tail off for 10 years straight nonstop doing the same thing. You know, that whole don't get stuck in startup mode.
Right.
It's like I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it off the ground, but at some point the plane is off the ground, sit back, relax. Let me know when we land. You know what I mean? You don't need to sit there and just keep fueling it up and running around checking the tires every day. It's like that's not a business. You created yourself a job.
Exactly. And I love that you said, I think a lot of people are good at creating more jobs for themselves versus creating business systems and models that they can step away from. And that's, if you don't have that, you're not a business owner, you're an employee to yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. One of the biggest things that's happening, obviously, amazing day. You're teaching them out. What are you teaching a master class on right now at Podfest?
Business book publishing.
There you go. Very nice. What's a big tip that you would give to people out there looking to get published more so or be a part of a book? To reach out to you individually?
If they want to. I'm not a fit for everyone, but I'm open and someone that's the right fit and wants help, absolutely. But the biggest tip I could say, and it's a good question, I would just say don't overcomplicate it. You know, you don't need to go into a cabin into the woods for 6 months and, you know, eat rice from a bowl just to get the thing done. Look at what you already have.
Yeah.
If you've done podcasting, I'm just going out on a limb and saying that most people have done a social media post or 500 per day. But my question is, how well is it working? If you're doing paid ads, that's something totally different. But I think the biggest misnomer is that so many people are like, I need to do content. I need to do content. I don't even have a call to action at the bottom of the thing or pointing them towards anything else. And I've conservatively would say they're spending 5, 10, 15, 20 hours a week doing it. I love podcasting, but I will still say the book is, I take people through it in 8 weeks. Podcasting is ongoing, even video, you know, my two other loves, they're ongoing. If you go, I'm going to do a live stream every once a week for this year, I'm going to commit to that. Well, that's 52 weeks. That's quite a bit. The book is 8. And you probably already put in the hard work. You just haven't organized it, systematized it, and put it into something you can hand out to someone. You know, Chris was selling his at the event, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
He had them on all the tables. People can take those and get this. I know it's crazy to think, but people can actually leave the interwebs and go conduct business and maybe get their eyesight back and enjoy life. You know, where's your favorite place to read a book? Not on the computer. Like, holy smokes, books are one of the only things that have been around since ever.
Yeah.
It's like, should I get the new Kindle? No, throw it out. Go get a paperback and a highlighter.
Yeah.
You already have the knowledge, and there isn't anyone that I haven't taken a look at that I couldn't turn it into a book in a week or two if they just left me alone with the content they already have. I mean, 8 weeks is just the structured program and everything, but you know, I did one of mine in did my first one. No, I did one in a day, one in 5 days. And this last one, I spent the most time I ever did, 10 days. It's because I was enjoying life, family, having fun with friends. And I was kind of like writing one day, not the next, looking for other stuff, pulled up a few of my own webinars, pulled up my own membership site. I'm like, oh, that's good stuff. It's the same answer as 4 years ago. hey, I already put in the time. Why do I need to reinvent my own wheel? I literally was taking my own stuff. I'm like, well, it's not stealing. I wrote it.
That's right. Regurgitating your own information, brother. That's right. What's the best way for those that are being on here today, listen to you, whether it's live here or on the replay? What's the best way for people to reach out to connect with you, Mario?
If they want to check out the show, eainterviews.com and freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com if they're interested in that.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, man, thank you for showing up, delivering, dropping some knowledge bombs there, brother. It's been great to have you on International Podcast. It's great to catch up, man. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, good to see you too.
7 months since we hung out in Orlando together. We got to get together sometime soon. Whatever. I'm so waiting for this to get a little bit back to normalcy, to start traveling and hanging out with more people, right?
Yeah, it was really great seeing you, and appreciate you opportunity to share. Hope everyone got something out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely did. Thanks, Mario. We'll be in touch. Actually, I may have a client for you who literally said, or when he's on his episode, because he runs a social media company, he's looking for somebody to help create more WordPress websites for his audiences, for his clients. And you said it automatically done. So I'm going to put the two of you together, maybe a business opportunity for you. Bro.
Excellent. More than happy to talk to him.
Good stuff, man. Well, thanks, Mario. Be safe out there, brother. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Thanks.